Goodbye.
Yeah.
So what's going on?
Well, not much, you know. We just started recording in our brand new LL Studios today. This is our first show in our new studios. We actually are recording together, which is new. We don't normally do that. Usually we go over Skype, but now we get to talk in person, like two normal human beings would.
Yeah, recorded face-to-face conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that looks different. None of my business.
But we're sitting here drinking beers, sitting in our thrones.
Tell me more about the man gown.
Okay. Alright, so, start off the show right. My birthday is coming up soon. And yesterday, some of my family and well-wishers attended a dinner in my honor. That was a surprise, mind you. I was actually legitimately surprised, and that rarely happens anymore. For my 30th naming day.
Yes.
And
Big 30.
So, you know, I had said a couple weeks ago that I wanted to experiment with something, and that's a men's nightgown. Now, when I say this, I don't mean pajamas. I mean literally, basically a men's dress, but a nightgown. It's not a dress, it's a nightgown.
Sounds like Porky Piggin.
It is Porky Piggin, except that my genitals are completely and utterly covered by said nightgown. And that's the key is, see, I always like to sleep naked. I'm sorry for all of you out there who know me and know what I look like, and now imagine me sleeping naked all the time.
Somebody's chubbed up at this point.
But I couldn't sleep naked anymore, basically because, one, I have a son, and I didn't want to traumatize him with my nude form. And two, I mean, then you could be like, well, why don't you just like wear a robe in the morning or something, or put clothes on before you wake up? Well, see, the problem with that is my son has type 1 diabetes, so I have to check him every 3 hours, even during the night, and that would include me having to get up in the night without a robe or anything and going into his room stark naked to check his blood sugar, which I also didn't want to traumatize him with. So
it would have. I mean, unless you run in there naked,
give me your blood.
Then he might understand it then, but to just walk in calmly, I don't think he would understand.
So I always had to wear clothes to bed after all of this, and I'm just not that tight. You know what I mean? So I thought maybe like go back to the way things used to be, and maybe I would have a shot at true comfort again. And I think I found it. I was skeptical. I didn't know if it'd work, but my mom and my sister and my family got me a men's nightgown, a nice like plaid one.
Ooh,
for
Madras.
Yeah, for my birthday, and I wore it to bed last night, and it was amazing.
Now, are we talking like winter fabric or?
No, it's a thinner fabric. It's like a bedsheet fabric.
Yeah,
but I like it like that.
So it's life changing.
It is, because now it literally feels like I'm almost wearing nothing at all. Like when I actually had to put on clothes this morning, it just felt wrong. Like I felt like I wanted to just walk around in that all day, but unfortunately I had to take my son to school, and I feel like someone would have a problem with me wearing a nightgown to drop my son off for school.
Well, I mean, you could wear it to like Walmart.
Probably get away with it. I might get a couple stares, but get away with it.
Yeah. Well, they're just fucking jealous. Fuck them.
They're jealous of my swag.
Jealous of your man swag.
I mean, I woke up this morning and I had to make sure that I still had a corporeal form, because I thought maybe I had transcended to the next level of comfort.
Yeah.
Like I had just become a gaseous cloud of light and happiness that could no longer understand human feelings. But then I realized once I took off the nightgown and put on regular clothes that I was still in fact immortal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're closer than any of us to the next stage in human evolution. So,
I mean, I had to go backwards. I had to go backwards to find the true comfort, and I fully and firmly advocate men's nightgowns now.
Yeah.
Like now, I'm starting to get why men wear kilts.
Yeah.
But I haven't gotten that far yet.
Well, that was my next comment here. I found a website the other day called Tactikilt.
I've seen those before. Like it's like a tool belt kilt.
Yeah. Like
except it's like a modern man's kilt.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have it made with that sort of a ripstop 511 fabric.
I might not be there yet, but I'm close to there. Like in finding true comfort, like I wear moccasins almost exclusively now, except when I have to work.
Yeah.
Because moccasins are true comfort in footwear.
But if you could wear them at work, you probably would.
Oh yeah, and I feel like I'd run faster too.
Yeah.
Native Americans had it right with deer skin.
They did.
Yeah. Well,
Fast. Like
mine's
the
amended.
deer.
Mine's amended slightly. You know, a little bit of Western culture injected into my moccasin wearing. You know, it has rubber soles and a fleece lining.
In order to grip flooring.
Yeah.
As you run full speed ahead to bring the pain.
But you imagine, like, if we got to go to work wearing moccasins and a kilt.
I mean,
it would up our response time. I'd say easily it'd shave 5 seconds off our response time.
Have to, especially in the summertime.
I mean, and oh my god, you imagine getting to wear a kilt when it's hot as fuck out?
Oh, it would be banging.
Oh
I
my
joked
God.
last summer about wearing the rip-off pants that were just skin-tight UPS shorts underneath.
That'd be awesome.
That at any moment I could just and I'm wild and free.
But imagine if we got to wear utility kilts. What if it like you know? And I'm not trying to knock anybody for their cultures or anything, but I know like it's a thing in society now where you have to respect other people's cultures, whether they're wearing headwear
As long as it's not white culture
or anything
you
like.
can,
Well,
you have to respect it.
well, see, that's the thing though. Like if this is the way we're going, I would almost goddamn guarantee I have some Scottish blood in me. And I could justify. Hell, I know for a fact my people come from barbarian roots. I know those motherfuckers were wearing kilts back in the day.
Yeah.
There's no goddamn way.
Well, I mean, anybody that's concerned with comfort and practicality would wear a kilt.
The future of white apparel to me is kilts, moccasins, and a cotton t-shirt.
Yeah.
That makes sense in my brain.
Well, once we've effectively established the groundwork, the foundations for our self-made content creator futures,
Yeah.
we could do, wear, and say whatever we want.
Exactly.
I see that on the horizon.
It's the future.
It is, really. I was having a conversation yesterday. This is just a question I had for you and anybody else. I was talking to a coworker about one of these contractors that we're working with currently. And his name is Tom. So we'll call him Tommy.
Okay.
And I was talking to said coworker, and we were talking about Tommy. He's got a fucked up hand, where not only is it missing a digit, but they reconstructed it to it looks like a cartoon hand.
Oh god.
To where it looks like there's no missing space. They made his ring finger in his hand, so it doesn't look fucked up. It looks like he was meant to have 4 fingers.
He looks like a Simpsons character then.
Yeah,
More or less.
real life. And he was like, bro, I got a good settlement. I guess what happened was he worked at a factory, and somebody fucked up the machine prior to him using it and did not use the aforementioned lockout tagout procedure. So on this machine, it had some kind of a conveyor belt, sucked his whole fucking arm into the machine. And he said that when he yanked his arm out, his fingertips, he could feel them dragging the ground. He was some serious fucked up shit. So they not only reconstructed his hand in perfect Simpsons character, but they also reconstructed his entire arm. And he got I have to imagine it was 6 figures. And he was like, it's totally not worth it, man. I can still feel my pinky. Talking about phantom pain.
Oh yeah.
However, I'm not going to throw my fucking arm in a machine for $1 million, but if you're just going to take my pinky away from it, fuck yeah. $1 million?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for $1 million?
We're not talking little toes. I mean, those are used for balance. I don't use my pinky for shit.
I'd still even get rid of my pinky toe for $1 million. Fuck balance.
What about both of them? It'd be like cutting off a cat's whiskers. You'd be
I
running
would
into
just,
shit.
I would just be like, I'd have to have 2 canes just to get around.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's funny you mentioned that because one of the topics that got given us today was one of those, how much for to do this kind of stunts. And the person, I don't know if she wanted to be mentioned, she didn't put it on our Facebook page, which if you have a topic for us, put it on our Facebook page, send us a Twitter, whatever.
Don't be scared. Use the social media.
Yeah, use the social media. Well, she wasn't sure if she, she has a very, she has a very clean cut image, and but she has she's related to me, so she has a dark and twisted part of her just as much as I do.
It's in her genes. She can't help it.
Yeah, so she sent us a topic. She told me in person because she didn't want to put it on social media because she thought it'd be too morbid. But the question is how much money would it take for you to eat a human organ. And I'm not talking a bite. I'm talking, as she said it, a full plate.
Feast on it.
You have to eat the whole fucking thing.
Are we talking cooked? And can I pick?
Oh, yeah. Prepared however you wish.
Okay, and I can pick the organ? Or is it up to chance?
She said organ, so I think that infers either, like, liver, kidneys, maybe the brain, something like that. Like, not like I said, a plate full. So imagine an American plate, which I think is either 10 or 12 inches in diameter.
Yeah.
With a heaping helping of human meat stacked upon it. Maybe you could even throw some, like, maybe make like a scampi.
Yeah.
With like some pasta or something.
Oh, dude, if there's pasta involved, the price goes down significantly.
See, that's the thing. And when she first asked me the question, I was like, was this a bite? I was like, no. She's like, no, this is a plateful. And I was like, okay. I was like, the price just went up substantially. I was like, in all reality, if you had $500 in your hand and said, eat one bite of human flesh.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd be gobbling it.
Yeah, I'm going to try it out.
I mean, $500 is $500.
See, I'm thinking like, I'm way too high.
Okay, so... But I'm just talking about a bite. A whole plate full, though.
I'm just going to say free and clear, tax-free and everything, $100,000.
I might even go less, man. If someone puts like 40 grand in front of me, that's more than a year's salary.
Yeah.
I think I might have to do it.
I'd go with 50. That way I feel like I did something good. And I've got a little bit more than my year's salary.
But a plate's full. It depends on the organ, though, too. I've never been a fan of organ meat from any animal.
But we say that, and next thing we know, we go in your house, and there's a Monopoly man in your kitchen with a plate of dicks. Here you go.
Now, see, and that's
$30,000. Eat up.
That's another thing about the significance. I think depending on the organ too. Like,
oh, yeah.
I'm not eating. It's gonna take a lot for me to eat some dick.
What about a bowl of tongues, some A1 sauce?
Well, firstly, I don't normally eat well done, but I'd probably have to cook it well done.
What about tongues of your enemies?
Maybe a little more relish, and we cut about 20,000, 30,000 off of the tongue of my enemies.
It's definitely going to be a discount.
What if it's the heart of my enemies?
Oh, yeah. You might do that for free.
But yeah. So, you sent us this question. So, we heard $100,000. I said 50. Somewhere in between there, we would be willing to eat human flesh. Oh, yeah. I forgot one aspect of the question. She told us this too, and I almost forgot. Non-lethal. This is non-lethal meat. This was taken from somebody who voluntarily gave it to us.
Okay, so it wasn't like, it's not like blood diamonds.
No. This is somebody who apparently it's part of their thing.
Blood kidneys.
To have somebody eat them.
Well, I know first of all, those people are out there.
Oh, most definitely. There's a fetish for everything.
Yeah. Just got some weird guy in the background in a hospital bed beating off to eat, and his kidneys like, yeah, eat them. Yeah,
but something tells me, though, that the people that have that as a fetish probably aren't that rich.
No.
Or if they are, then we're living in the world that I thought we were living in. But, but no, that was a very good question, and I hope we dive deep into it. I think of anything else I could talk about it. Let's see. I don't know, man. I feel like it'd be the first bite. Getting over the first bite would probably be the part that I would have a problem with. Yeah. And depending on the texture. But I've been told, or I haven't been told. I watched a documentary once.
I've been told.
I was told by my television once.
Yeah.
That they were interviewing a tribesman from Papua New Guinea, and the people from New Guinea describe human meat, the texture and the taste. They call it that translates to long pork. Mm-hmm. They said it tastes like pigs. We taste like pigs, basically.
Wow, they only figured that out through long sea travel.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
sea travel and hunting down witches.
Right.
That's a thing in Papua New Guinea still.
Right witches. Now too, it's like depending on when that question was asked. Let's say the nightmare scenario happens, society is in fucking absolute chaos.
Yeah.
And you haven't eaten in 3 days. Somebody's like, "I'll give you 10,000." You're not even going to listen to the question. You're going to smell the kidneys. You're going to eat them like a savage. Yeah. But I mean, right now we're fat and well fed.
Exactly. Give it like a month of the grid going down, and then come to us with that shit. Yeah. And we might have a different story to tell.
Exactly.
But no, that was a really good question. We appreciate that. Let's see. Well, I wanted to talk today, and my co-host also wanted to talk about this and kind of dive into a sub-subject of it, and that's here recently. All this talk about fake news, how the government wants to put their thumb down on fake news, and I just wanted to address this and see how my audience felt about it, and we can talk about it next episode if you guys listen to this and you have an opinion about it. But they're saying that fake news is the reason the election happened as it did. Now, the thing about that is that in all elections, considering the entire election, we were told that one candidate was going to win and the other one was going to lose, and then the opposite happened to what they said. In theory, is that not fake news itself?
Yeah, I think that it's a push to end any type of discussion from people that aren't mainstream media.
Yeah, and see, the thing is, I think this whole thing about fake news is dangerously close to hampering on freedom of speech. Because, what's it going to come to? Like, if they banish fake news, how is any alternate going to be brought out? You know what I mean?
Right.
Are they going to have to, put a disclaimer above every article and say, this is a work of fiction? Don't believe it. Wink, wink, wink.
Well, it would be safer if we just gave up every single news agency, not even considering, let's just say mainstream media. Everybody in the mainstream media has been rounded up in the middle of the night. They no longer exist. I say we get rid of Fox, CNN, all of them, and just have state news, like North Korea. Because if you watch North Korean state news, everything over there is awesome. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe that's what we're missing here.
That everything's awesome?
Freedom is dangerous.
Super dangerous.
Ignorance is strength.
Yeah, right?
You know?
And that's what I wanted to get into with this whole fake news thing is, whether you, agree with what this supposed fake news is or not, people are saying things. And the thing is I'm sure there was a time, when Woodward and Bernstein came out with their articles about Nixon and what his administration was doing and Watergate and all that, I would almost goddamn guarantee that there were people in the mainstream media saying it was fake.
Right.
And it wasn't.
It's not true.
It was completely and utterly true.
Yeah.
And just to get on that more, I don't have a lot of examples to cite, but there have been plenty of examples of people outside the mainstream breaking news on something that was legit.
Right. And more times than not in modern day society. And
I feel like this is another case of our government trying to be a nanny state, and they're trying to tell us what's good to listen to and what's not good to listen to. Now, here's the thing: is there fake news out there? Yes, but I assume some of it is done under the umbrella of satire. They're not literally putting articles out there. Like, I saw one that they cited, and I'm sure there was at least a couple people that actually believed it. But anybody that believed that Obama would ban the Star Spangled Banner from being performed at sports events.
Right.
That was one of the ones they cited. And, it was up at one point in time. I remember seeing it, and a couple people I know actually posting it, and me being like, you can't be serious, can you?
Right. Is this real?
Yeah. So, there are examples of fake news. It's not like it doesn't exist. But the thing is it exists on both sides. And that's the thing people need to understand is that fake news comes from all angles. It doesn't just come from one angle. It comes from all angles.
Well, this story right here, this came out, this one was published in 2013, but I remember reading about it when Bush was still in office, where with one of his, how they pass the National Defense Authorization Spending Act every year?
Yeah.
Well, during Bush's tenure, the first time it happened, he legalized domestic propaganda. Mm-hmm. So the CIA had been caught a number of times since then, and Obama did the same thing. He allowed domestic propaganda to exist, where the CIA was literally feeding news stories to change public opinion on different things.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure this whole push to end fake news has nothing to do with that. Domestic propaganda is fine, but we don't want dissenting opinion.
Absolutely.
And then they have fake trolls out there that post dumbass stories, clearly fake news that people will spread to make the alternative media look retarded.
Yeah, well,
it's a smear campaign.
Like I said, the right-minded, normal citizen can look a lot of this news, and they're able to filter it out. Me, myself, I have to do the same thing every single day.
Use your brain.
Use your brain.
You don't need daddy government to do it for you.
No.
Because that's how you end up with North Korean-style state sponsored media.
Or you have a basket of countries that do that.
Right.
Hell, you even have that kind of censorship in the UK.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what is this coming to? What road are we willing to go down to decide what's supposedly real and what's supposedly fake? Like I said, this whole thing, I feel like it not only like, it's not towing the line, it's stepping over the line of free speech. Mm-hmm. Whether it's real or not, it's towing over the line. And we have to, like, let me ask you, is the ACLU in on this and trying to stop it? No. No, they're not.
No.
And that's absolute horseshit.
It's probably just another head of the Hydra, honestly. These organizations all seem to have different people, in charge, but ultimately I think they're controlled by the same people pulling the puppet strings on any other thing. Like, they're not for the people. I mean, like, what happened when after the election all these protests happened and people were burning, cars and all sorts of shit, and the powers that be said, well, this is freedom of speech in action. You have to embrace it. This is the way things are. Right. Okay. Same thing has to be said about fake news. This is the way things are. You can't do anything to stop it. And if you do, you've crossed the line. Right. It's that simple. But no, I want to talk about that, and it kind of leads in the segue about something my co-host wanted to talk about particularly, because I don't think we've touched on it in the show. And we talk about this for a few minutes. The whole Pizzagate thing. I'm gonna let you take over on that one. Yeah, and I feel weird about Pizzagate because it could be one of two things. Pizzagate is either a legitimate, I guess you could use the term grassroots in the hacker world, grassroots hacker event that came about through the WikiLeaks scandals of Podesta's emails, where it started with him having all these weird pictures in his house of paintings of children barely clothed or nude in some sort of stress bondage position, being restrained, and it was like, I've looked at the pictures. You can Google for them. They're fucking disgusting. They make you uncomfortable.
Yeah,
what kind of person needs that shit in their house? And you go further than that. There's a picture of him and his wife or whoever it is standing in front of a golden. It almost looks like a coffee table, but it's a bust. It's a human body. Contorted in a way that is how Jeffrey Dahmer used to photograph his victims before he, licked that shitter like an apple fritter.
Yeah.
And ate that body up. But, clearly there's something wrong with these people. And the emails in Pizzagate went deeper to find links to Comet Pizza and some of these other nationwide pizza places, which if you type into a news search with any politician's name, they all go to these places. Yeah. And they all have really weird, like, satanic newsletters that they put out talking about buying cheese pizzas. Like, I read one where they were talking about, we have 4 cheese pizzas left over from last season that are still surviving at a discount price, and they're ready to go. And how did they put it? They weren't sure if they were going to survive much longer. That's why they were discounted. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. I've seen some of this and
random rap music.
Like I said, it's disheartening, because it's either these motherfuckers really like pizza, or they're talking about something in code. Now,
they broke down a code from a child, pedophile ring investigation into the French government, where they were using these same terms, where it was like cheese pizza meant like little kids, and then they had like a whole different list. Saucy was orgy. They had all these other things, and then like they had one where it was Podesta talking to somebody else about Obama wanting to order for the Democratic National Convention $60,000 worth of pizzas, and how the party was going to be amazing. And in that same email, they talked about having underage entertainment, like kids ready in the hot tub. You're fucking adults.
Yeah.
At an 11 o'clock at night party in a hot tub. What the fuck do you need children there for? Give me a fucking break.
Yeah. And like I said, and the Pizzagate thing is kind of at the center of this whole fake news thing right now, because the mainstream media is trying to say, well, this isn't real, this is obviously fake, and da-da-da-da. And a lot of people have speculated that the reason that this push to get rid of fake news and with actual government intervention has to do with this Pizzagate thing and them trying to silence it.
Right.
And
they could have really hit a severe nerve with the Pizzagate thing, because I think the reason why that they want to ban the fake news is just that, because there's so many people involved with this sex trade of children in the government. that if it comes out, the whole thing is going to collapse.
Now, here's the thing, like...
They said Comey might have been involved, and that's why he dropped the investigation on Hillary Clinton.
Here's the thing that is interesting about it all is that, like, I remember I saw a clip from some sort of comedy stand-up show from, I believe, Comet Pizza, and it just didn't make sense, like, to an outsider. Maybe, like, it was like they were talking about something, the comedian was talking about something that I was not privy to whatsoever, and and everyone was laughing.
Yeah.
So obviously, the entire audience was in on a joke that I wasn't in on.
Right. We don't speak their language.
Exactly. So, like I said, like, it seems awfully strange that the government is willing to blatantly overstep our First Amendment rights to free speech just over a simple theory about child sex. Well, it's not simple, but a theory about child sex trafficking. And it isn't till now. I mean, considering, like, a lot of the websites and a lot of the stuff that they're saying are fake are websites and news sites that have been around for years.
Yeah.
And now the sudden push to deem them, fake news sites after, a couple, concerned citizens took it upon themselves to try to, like, discern what was going on. Now, here's the ultimate question is that, this all started from what WikiLeaks did. Now, the question is what is, they kind of tight-lipped, but they haven't really, like, chimed in on what they believe this whole, pizza party thing is. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But like I said, it's just look it up for yourself. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to believe everything we say, but this comes from one concerned citizen to another. Look it up, and if you don't believe it, don't believe it.
I started following this girl on Twitter. Her name is Brittany Pettibone, and she is heavily into the Pizzagate investigation, I guess you could call it. She posted a video, or she retweeted a video of somebody who had been investigating it on the deep web, and they found an actual website, and to prove that the Pizzagate lingo they found in these emails is exactly what, because the lingo that we talked about, the code language, like cheese pizza meaning children or whatever the fuck it is, that's actual pedophile lingo that law enforcement have access to. Like, that's how they decode these emails.
Yeah.
So she got on to this other person's page that was investigating it through the deep web and found a pedophile selling underage child photos for Bitcoin and using the same lingo. Like, we have, I think it was 0.01, which ended up being like $8 USD, except in Bitcoin it's anonymous transfer, so you can't get caught.
Yeah. And
you have to have a Tor email account, so it's encrypted, so the FBI can't find out who's buying what. But for $8 in Bitcoin, you could get 10 child pornography pictures sent to your encrypted email. And they used the same exact lingo that was found with these politicians in the Pizzagate. Basically, we're run by psychopathic Satanist child molesters.
Now, is this something that, like, people have speculated transcends parties and everything? It's through all
parties, countries, factions of government. I mean, some people have claimed, and people are really kind of soft-spoken about naming people because until it's proven, it's slander, and libel. So they're not trying to be held accountable, because these people are going to lawyer up fast as fuck and go after people for accusing them. But basically, it's been proven through law enforcement that the code language in Pizzagate is actual pedophile lingo. They did an investigation in France, and they busted a bunch of people. There was also collusion. I posted it on my Twitter a couple weeks ago. Collusion between the Church of Scientology.
Yeah, I'd heard about that.
Like, there was a guy that was...
which, that doesn't surprise me with Scientology, considering, Sea Org and all that.
Oh, yeah, Sea Org's fucking crazy.
Yeah. And
you guys get bored at some time, and you're up until 3 in the morning, hop on YouTube and watch some of these anti-Scientology documentaries.
So, and just to speculate, do you think that Sea Org and all that in Scientology itself may have been just a cover for pedophilia itself? Like,
I think it was a lot of things. I think
because
one of them was definitely pedophilia.
Because the thing is, it's like, it's so absurd. Mm-hmm. Everything about it is so absurd. And I don't care about if somehow a Scientologist is listening. I don't give a fuck, because listen, that shit's dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's a cult.
Yeah, but the thing is like, because we all know that like L. Ron Hubbard was a pedophile.
Yeah.
So,
well, in his day, when he was the captain of the ship, he was fucking rolling around in Sea Org with a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
That were dedicated, silent, pedophile warriors.
Yeah.
He trained and fucked shit out of them.
Mm-hmm. That's fact, people.
I mean,
so and here's the thing. Here's the thing at the end of the day with this whole Pizzagate thing, with the whole fake news thing, is that even if the government does shut down what they consider fake news sites, as long as everybody out there keeps fighting the fight to try to find the truth. Because in my personal belief, there is something here that they don't want us to know. Because like I said, these supposed fake news sites have been around, I could almost say decades at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Drudge has been around forever. And he was he was blacklisted for a moment, but he fought against that, luckily for him. Because, I mean, for the most part, if you go on Drudge, he is posting from legitimate news sites. Or at least what we consider legitimate.
A lot of these social media outlets are getting ahead of the buck, and they're actually banning people for spreading these news stories ahead of any law requiring it to happen. And what we're seeing is, especially with Twitter, like I might quit Twitter altogether, depending on if they get their fucking act together or not. But there's other social media that are popping up that are going to be huge because their advertising is free speech zones. Like we're not going to censor you for anything.
Yeah.
Gab is a new one that I signed up for. It's still in the infancy phase, and you gotta.
Well,
I think it's gab.ai. Maybe
I know. Whisper is in there too.
Yeah,
but Whisper is strictly anonymous. So I mean, it's just up to us because apparently, like I said, these supposed fake news sites have been around forever.
Right. And
just now they're deciding that they're bad. And that they need to be taken care of, and that these sites need to be taken down forcefully by the government. Which, once again, anybody with half a brain knows that's against the First Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
Conservative, liberal, or anything. Just know the Constitution.
If it comes down to it, where they're actually censoring and pulling these things down, people have a choice to make.
Yeah.
And you should just look at it this way. As it comes to any law, regardless of, spreading news or investigating things, or I even look at it the same way as carrying a firearm in places that are not firearm free zones, which are victim camps.
Yeah.
Come here if you want to get attacked.
Yeah.
But look at it like this. You're a sentient human being. We are in this incarnation for a limited period of time. You have the right to be safe. You have the right to protect yourself and your family, and you have the right to say whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Don't break away from those principles. Anything, fuck.
Yeah.
Why is it a conversation?
Listen, I hate about and this goes for both sides of the aisle on this one. I can't stand half the shit that most liberals or conservatives say because they're dumb as fuck.
Right, they're stupid.
But I'm not going to stop it.
No.
It's the same thing about burning flags. Like, I hate bringing that up, but fuck it. It's free speech. Here's the thing. This is what I say about it. You're a douchebag because motherfuckers died for that shit. But it's your right. It's a have your cake and eat it too situation. But you know what? That cake, for a fact that someone put a turd in that cake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's cake with shit in it.
I just think people over time, and I don't know if it's just our generation or if it started the generation before ours, but people are too reactionary.
Yeah.
They're immediately ready to ban anything that offends them. If somebody wants to say something or do something that offends you, don't fucking take a part of it. As long as they're not shoving it in your face in your house, they're not coming onto your property to do it.
Yeah.
Let them fucking burn the flag. Who gives a shit?
Yeah. Exactly. And that's what it all goes down to is that it doesn't affect you. Does it really, really, really affect you? And like I said, this might sound like a jab at liberals here, but it's not, because in all essence of things, like it's like this whole thing. I see it a lot on Facebook, and I'm probably gonna get some flack for this one, but I don't really care. Is that people saying like, I want to go back to when you could say Merry Christmas and da da da. You could still say Merry Christmas.
Yeah, you're not gonna get locked up.
Who the fuck is stopping you?
Who gives a shit?
Like, okay, if you're a public servant and you work in the public sector,
right,
and you get in trouble for saying Merry Christmas, Well, no shit, Sherlock. You work in the public sector.
Yeah, you've signed up for that.
Okay, yeah, you signed up for that. There's a freedom of religion. It's that simple.
Right.
Like, you don't work. There's not a state church. Okay.
No.
Everybody has their own beliefs, and
No.
nobody stops you from saying Merry Christmas in your own private life. You can say it all you want. You know what I mean? But we're talking about public places, and the thing is not everybody. And you know what? Not everybody believes the same thing you believe.
And if you want to take it a step further, fucking say it anyway.
Say it anyway.
What's the worst thing that's gonna happen? You're gonna get locked up in a fucking re-education camp? Not yet.
That's not yet. But but with this with the tide of this whole fake news thing, you know, that might be down the road. But right now, the worst that happens is you get a slap on the wrist.
Same with that. What was that last year? Maybe it was this year. I don't know anymore. The lady that refused to sign marriage licenses.
Yeah.
Again, do what you want to do. You're a free human being, but if you lose your job, you lose your job.
Yeah, it's that simple.
Find another job.
If you can't compromise your beliefs for your job that you took an oath to do, then
Be ready to lose it.
Be ready to lose it. It's that simple. I don't. That shit kills me, man.
Trying to stand for something and then suffering the social consequences of it, and then wanting to complain. You're just being you're doing the same thing that everybody's doing. You're being, you're whining. Shut the fuck up.
You're a martyr for your own cause.
Yeah.
But not for me.
Go sell Avon and Advocare.
Exactly.
You miserable bitch.
And it just and that's my rant about that, because it's just, it kills me that, like, y'all want to, conservatives especially, like, bitch about burning the flag, but at the same time want to compel people to say Merry Christmas. Like, that shit, it fucking kills me, man. Like, don't get me wrong, I celebrate Christmas. I have a fucking Christmas tree in my living room right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know what it's all about, and I teach my son what it's all about. But that's me. That's my family, and that affects only me, so it shouldn't matter.
Well,
You know what I mean?
most of the mainstream, celebration in our society of any quote-unquote religious holiday is in the church sense meant to worship one thing, while you're practicing a different type of worship.
Yeah.
The whole Christmas tree thing. It's a pagan.
Exactly.
It's
yeah.
a pagan deal.
It's a German pagan thing. But, like, the whole war on Christmas, I believe, is false. I think it's all fake, and I think it's all made up. Because here's the thing, like, okay, like, I think, what was it, last year, year before, Starbucks had a problem because they stopped selling cups that said Merry Christmas or some shit on them.
Yeah.
Like, and people were up in arms about it. Listen, they're a business.
Right.
They're not a business that sells exclusively to Christians.
No.
Okay? They sell to all walks of life.
What was their answer to the people that were upset? They were going to go, or I'm thinking of the Trump thing. Never mind.
Yeah.
But it's still retarded. Their idea was to go and buy more Starbucks.
Yeah.
If you don't like a business's practice, don't fucking go there.
And the thing is, it's like, I try to explain this to people, like, okay, say a company wants to put Merry Christmas on their sign and that offends somebody. Here's the thing. It's a private business. They're allowed to do what they fucking want.
Right.
Okay? Same thing with Starbucks. It's not because they don't like your beliefs. It's because they want to include people from all walks of life.
Right.
See, they're being good capitalists. And the thing is, out there, my conservative friends, it's not bad to want to be a good capitalist. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing with the whole bakers refusing to bake cakes for gays.
Right.
Or let's say homosexuals. I don't want to sound derogatory.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, okay. But here's the thing about that is, if they, and this is the have your cake and eat it situation with this. If they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. It's a private business. They're allowed to do whatever the fuck they want.
And if you want to mobilize a group of people to go protest them across the street and not buy their fucking product, then do it.
Then do it. And the thing is, like, at the end of the day, my personal opinion on the matter, well, they're just bad capitalists.
Yeah, they didn't understand the broader picture of things.
Yeah, they didn't understand that, like, we're a big ass melting pot. And if you're only allowing yourself to sell to certain subgroups,
right,
then you're limiting yourself.
You're living in an echo chamber.
Unless you sell Bibles.
Right.
I get it then. But I don't get it for everybody else.
That's one thing I didn't understand about the Mike Pence, where everybody was pissed off about the law he made in Indiana, basically protecting a business owner's right to make a decision.
Yeah.
They're not forced to do one thing or another.
Yeah.
Again, do what you want to do.
But, like, and then people would argue, well, this is like Jim Crow shit. Well, here's the thing with that, friend. Jim Crow laws were government, state-run racism.
Right.
Okay, that was racism from the state. Business to business, that's their decision.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you want to go protest them, go protest them.
You've always had that choice, and you
That's
always
all
should
fine.
have that choice.
You know what I mean? If that ain't your bag,
Fucking go somewhere else.
Yeah, same thing with like Chick-fil-A and shit like that. That was their thing to do. That was their decision to make. Whether
Right.
it was good or bad, that's up to them.
And they're selling to a niche crowd anyway.
Yeah. So don't get up in arms about it. It's somebody's personal life. If they have stupid, dumbass, narrow-minded beliefs, let them keep it.
Right.
Okay. You know, like, and I think in part of that goes straight to the heart of the problem with why there's so much like black and white with a lot of these issues. It's because people don't seem to understand that, like, you can't just throw your ideals on somebody else and expect them to wholeheartedly accept it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, then you're forcing your will on another sentient human being.
and that's the thing. Like, and I think the reason people voted the way they did in this election was because of that. Because they felt disenfranchised. Because their voice wasn't given any credence.
Right.
But the thing is, like, you know, you're going to have that a lot. But at the same time, like, I think liberals were keeping themselves in a bubble where they thought for some reason that laws were going to make people change their minds about certain lifestyles.
You can't legislate morality.
No, you can't. That's the problem. You can't legislate morality. Like, people are still going to be narrow-minded, and no matter how much like media and government try to affect that, it's not going to really change much of anything.
Mm-hmm.
People are still going to be locked into their beliefs, and you have to accept that. You know what I mean? Like, you have to, as whatever you are, you have to be willing to accept that there's always going to be people that don't agree with what you are,
right,
or what you believe in,
and you got to get over it. You got to be, you got to be a fucking adult about it.
Yeah, like, I don't like calling people snowflakes, but that's the way you're fucking acting.
Yeah, quit being I mean, I don't know. If you can take a dick, you can take a joke.
Yeah. I mean, as they say.
I'm afraid of this. I don't know if you ever listened to that. I tagged you in a podcast from Joe Rogan Experience with Professor Jordan Peterson. And he's talking about, he's a Canadian professor, or I guess in Canada they've made it a law where people in the academic professions and like all the way down to landlords have to subscribe to a specific like 70 plus gender pronoun vocabulary. So if somebody wants to be referred to as like I think foxkin was one of them, you're supposed to not only say it, but you're supposed to know right off the rip, like, I gotta refer to that guy as a fox because that's how he identifies himself. If we continue down this road of like ultra madness Marxist liberalism, we're gonna be
left in the dust.
Yeah.
I can't remember that shit. You know what I mean? It kills me, man. Like,
the world is cray.
Oh, world is death cray. But
cray AF.
All right, now that rant's out of the way, we have another topic.
I love topics. Let's go with it.
And this comes from the very same person that gave us the first topic.
Oh, she's a trooper.
She is. I wish other people would give us more topics.
If you're listening out there right now, I'm pinching your cheeks because you're such a good trooper.
Yeah. She said, well, she asked, what species of animal do you think would become the dominant species if mankind ceased to exist? Except you cannot say any form of monkey.
Oh, I was going to say top two that are... my top two choices for the number one spot have to be a bear,
okay,
or some sort of predatory cat.
Okay, I said bears,
yeah,
because, and I have one reason, and one reason only. I once watched a bear ride a motorcycle.
Yeah.
On TV, of course. It was like a Russian circus. But he was riding a motorcycle. It was like a dirt bike. And he was shifting gears on it.
Because he knows how to shift gears on a motorcycle.
And he was wearing a helmet.
Yeah.
Okay? That bear knew how to ride a motorcycle, shift gears, and he was wearing a helmet. That was my first... When she asked me this last night, because I gave her my own input, I said bears. Right off the rip. Right. It's like, there's no... If it's not any kind of ape, which I think even them... I would almost say, even if you had apes thrown in there, I still think bears would end up being the dominant species. Simply because apes had their motherfucking chance.
Yeah.
Okay? They're cool with just chilling out in the fucking jungle, eating fruit, and fucking doing whatever. Because at one point in time, we were all on the same level. You know what I mean? But they just never made that evolutionary leap. Now, bears? No, bears have adapted to the fact that humans are around. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing, like, you know, you might throw dogs in there, but the problem with dogs is that they evolved right alongside with us.
Yeah.
So the problem is that if we don't exist, then their companions no longer exist. Yeah. It's a symbiotic relationship that I don't think they would be able to survive.
They're opportunistic. They wanted to act cute and friendly and protective in order to be fed.
Exactly. And I think I saw even on a Discovery Channel documentary once that they believe that if mankind didn't exist anymore, dogs wouldn't end up becoming any kind of dominant species because, for the most part, with humans by their side, dogs have been trained to compete with each other instead of pack with each other. Mm-hmm. So I guess you could throw wolves in there and say wolves might end up being dominant, but bears are bigger than wolves, and I feel like bears would just destroy them. Yeah. And the only other animal I said that I personally thought may have a chance, other than bears, and it's because one, they're smart, and two, they have the numbers over bears. It's that simple, and that's raccoons.
Mm-hmm. Trash pandas.
They have the dexterity.
Yeah.
They're intelligent. They wash their food before they eat it. They wash their hands. And they know how to get into everywhere.
And their teeth are like knives.
Yeah. And they breed in record numbers.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, here's the thing. Like, you know, in America, we have a lot of raccoons, but the thing is the population gets cut down. I'd say a mixture of cars and predatory animals. Or just, you know, nature itself. But, like, I think I saw this funny documentary once about how the fact that back in the 70s, there was some Japanese anime about a little boy who got a pet raccoon. And people loved it in Japan so much that they were shipping raccoons over to Japan as pets.
Oh, yeah. Now they're probably overrun.
Yeah, they're overrun with raccoons now because they failed to realize that those little fuckers are not pets.
Right.
Like, even, like, I was watching the show and they're like, even in the anime, at the end of it, the boy has to let the raccoon go because it's become an adult and it's become an animal and it's not controllable, right? So, and that's the thing people did. They got these little baby raccoons, they raised them up, and they became adults, and then they become too unruly, and they ended up setting them off in the wild. And they are literally destroying all of Japan's ancient, like, shrines and monuments.
Yeah.
They're just wrecking them. And they have virtually no way to combat them because they're not native. They're an invasive species. And apparently they're a problem in Germany, too. But the Germans have come up with some pretty ingenious ways of tackling them. They put, like, I saw one where they, like, because raccoons like to climb gutters. So they put these fucking, like, spikes that shoot downwards on the gutter so that when the raccoons try to climb up the gutters, they instantly get stabbed with spikes.
It's kind of like how some cities in the United States have put in spikes to prevent homeless people from sleeping on the sidewalk.
I've seen that before.
It's hardcore.
That's hardcore. Like, because, you know what? Somebody thought of that by, like, because I know they've been doing it with pigeons for years.
Yeah.
So, but somebody looked at that and said, you know what?
I think we can do better.
I think we could do that with homeless people, too.
Yeah.
Some devious motherfucker thought, I can fucking keep homeless people from an area by putting spikes on the ground.
Yeah.
Evil. I mean, that is evil. I don't give a fuck who you are. I mean, I don't care how much you dislike homeless people. That's fucking evil.
Yeah.
But yeah, now that was a really good question, and like I said, I think my number one choice is still bears.
Yeah, bears are not known givers of fucks.
No, and like, you know, they might seem like they're complacent, but like if you fuck with them at all, they will fucking rip you up in the little tiny little bloody pieces.
Last year we went on a trip to Gatlinburg, and we were hiking one of the trails that's probably now in cinders, and we hit this gorge after a hill. And when it flattened out, in the middle of the path, a little baby black bear walking across. And everybody's like, the baby black bear. Granted, we've watched enough cartoons and Winnie the Pooh in our life to anthropomorphize these animals into fucking loving, cute creatures.
Right?
But I'm going to tell you one thing. I stayed my pink ass behind the line because I know somewhere in that foliage there is a fucking mother bear who is not very happy about you finger fucking her cute little teddy bear child. And she will eat your face. She'll kill you with her face.
Yeah. Imagine this. Imagine you're in the park with your own human child.
Yeah.
And you're kind of off in the distance. You let them do their own thing. And you see a stray dog approach your child. It might not even mean it harm. It might just go up and smell it. What are you going to do?
You're going to eat it.
you're gonna go straight crazy.
Yeah.
You're gonna go straight Harambe.
You're gonna run on 4 legs over there and kill it with your face.
Yep.
You know, bear human hybrid.
Well,
scenario.
in a bear human hybrid scenario, but in human scenario, I'm gonna use my grappling strength. Because I mean that's why we're the dominant species.
Thumbs.
Yeah. It's that simple.
It really is.
Then you would argue, well, what about monkeys? They got thumbs.
Monkeys are dumb.
Yeah, but monkeys are dumb. They were complacent. They decided to keep searching for the low hanging fruit.
Right.
See, we came out of the trees and went into the grasslands because we wanted more, and we found more.
And you know, you can interpret that one way or the other. I like to go with Terence McKenna's stoned ape theory. That you know, around the same time that the topography was changing to the, you know, instead of just forest, we had open lands. The monkeys came down and they were looking for different food sources on the ground once they left the trees, and they started finding cow patties and mushrooms, and they just had a group of monkeys that were tripping their fucking balls off. And I mean, just a quick segue into psychedelic use. I've never done mushrooms, but I've done salvia.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a story real quick about that. That's like taking your consciousness out of your body. And, you know, I forget. I think Joe Rogan said it best. He's talking like, let's say you're a mouse. You know, you've lived your entire life as a mouse. You're shitting everywhere. You're dragging your balls around. And you're eating trash. And then you smoke some salvia. The next thing you know, your rat brain is transformed into a human body, and you realize that you're a rat. So, I don't think the stoned ape theory is too crazy to subscribe to.
No, I don't think so either. And I think it if anything, like, it may have, like, I subscribe to it simply because I don't think, like, I think what happened is that it was the after effect that I'm more interested in. Like, how did it change their behaviors to lead to us? You know what I mean? How did it, like, make us realize that we were more than what we are? I'd love to, I mean, I probably wouldn't be able to have an actual conversation, but I'd love to see the first monkey that realized, like, it realized its own self, like, in its conscious state. You know what I mean? Or
Right.
thought beyond that, like, actually looked at the stars and thought, what the fuck are those?
Have you seen that article where they think monkeys have adopted religion?
I feel like I did see that, but
Let me see if I can pull it up.
you know, I remember last year I read this big article about mourning and grief amongst different animals, and how apes mourn their dead, and lament for them, and so do elephants. Like, they talked about how elephants, when an elephant dies, they parade around the corpse, and they trumpet one last trumpet blast at the animal before walking on.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that there's not something in there. And same thing goes with apes. Apes understand death, and they held, you know, basically ape funerals for their own. They understand more than we know. And the same thing goes, there's one species we haven't talked about at all, but I feel like they have a physical infirmity that keeps them from becoming the dominant species, at least on solid Earth. And that's dolphins.
Yeah.
Because those motherfuckers gossip about each other.
Dolphins could be having, some human shit going on deep in the ocean we don't know anything about.
Yeah. I mean, we know for a fact they gossip. They talk about each other. like say, two dolphins are talking shit about another dolphin while he's not around.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. Not only that, dolphins have names for each other. We know that too.
We just can't understand their language.
No, it's beyond us. Like, I mean, I don't know if, like, it makes me think of Douglas Adams and the whole Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. How I think they said dolphins are the second most smartest species on the planet.
Maybe that's why we've been having all these quote-unquote accidents with nuclear facilities pumping Fukushima radiation in the ocean.
Yeah.
Because we've found out dolphins are on the peg up. We gotta knock them down a peg or two.
Yeah, I mean, 30 years from now, all you're gonna hear about is how we're having to put sanctions on the Atlantic state of Dolphania.
Yes.
Because we found out that they have fucking plutonium colliders that are capable of making weapons-grade plutonium.
Right. They demand to be a nation state.
Yep.
This-
They demand to be recognized by the UN.
This article is from the New Statesman. Came out this March, where they did a study on a monkey community somewhere in the middle of, let's just say, planet Earth.
Yeah.
And they basically found these monkeys that create sacred trees. And they will form like a stone circle around the tree. And they will take stones, from the and walk out a straight line, turn back toward the tree, and go and just throw the rock at the tree. No clear purpose of like mating or food gathering, so it's not some sort of a genetic hardwired ability.
Yeah.
At the same time, they figured out how to spearfish. I don't know if you've seen those videos.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I mean, they're like really retarded humans.
Yeah.
They're coming along.
They're coming along in their own way. Like they just I think the reason they haven't is because they don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
More or less, like they haven't had to yet. Like I said, I think, like I mean, most anthropology professors would point to the reason we became what we are was because of population density forced us out of our natural habitat, and then we were forced to adapt to survive. Like the reason we walk upright all the time is so we could get a better view of the world around us.
Right. What about the theory that Graham Hancock, he had another guy, I can't remember with him, this is his old partner in crime. They've got this whole rolling theory in a series of books where they've done studies on like different impact zones in the Earth. Like they found, I guess you might know this better than I do, but the place that supposedly the impact of the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, basically reset the structure of things and allowed mammals to take over as the dominant species.
More or less. I mean, And originally they thought, okay, the asteroid came, it fucking wrecked everything, it created a false winter and killed everything.
This was what, millions of years ago?
Yeah, about 65 million years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. They know now that not all the dinosaurs died out. They didn't all die out initially. They eventually did because you got to understand, like, the reason that they existed was because oxygen levels were so much higher on the planet that the planet was able to sustain life so big.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, go back even further when oxygen levels were even higher, and you have fucking dragonflies the size of eagles.
Yeah.
Because the oxygen levels were so rich that they didn't, like, they could just be gigantic. And you know, their respiratory system is so rudimentary that they didn't require the complex respiratory system that we need just to survive. And we're talking like higher than 50% level oxygen. So they're able to get gigantic. Scorpions, dragonflies, centipedes. Mm-hmm. But now look at them. They're tiny because the oxygen levels are lower and our world cannot sustain such large beasts. And the same thing goes with dinosaurs. Like, when most of them died out, you know, the only things that could survive were the things that had, for some reason, become more complex at the time. Like furred mammals and things of that such. And I think this is even in a time, I can't be for sure, but I'm pretty sure that when all this went down, mammals were still laying eggs.
Yeah.
Like, we hadn't made that last step towards mammary glands or anything like that. We might have, like I said, I can't be sure. But, you know, and we survived because we survived the long winter and we were able to thrive because we didn't have to rely on the heat of the earth to move about.
Yeah.
Versus dinosaurs and everything else that required actual outside warmth to generate their body. Versus us, we have ourselves.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong, you could still freeze to death, but I'm going to tell you right now, if you're out in the wilderness, say around here, right now, I guarantee you're going to survive longer than a boa constrictor.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Yeah. That was what you say, 65 million years ago was the reset, the changing from reptilian control to mammal control.
Yeah.
In the latest Graham Hancock book that I read, I think it's called Magicians of the Gods, he talks about a place in the Pacific Northwest of the United States where if you look at the landscape, it's completely flat, sort of a bowl. And they did studies on the soil, and they found in the soil that there was an element that's only created in nuclear explosions, some type of glass. It's some type of glass that's made from the heat of a nuclear explosion. Well, they found that there, and they've never done any nuclear testing. So then they did further study, and they found that it was actually a giant crash site of an asteroid. And this was supposedly dated between 14,000 and 16,000 years ago. So he thinks that places like Göbekli Tepe, which is a giant structure in Turkey, I mean, this place was supposedly abandoned right around that same time frame of that crash exploded. Yeah. They said that they think with the ability to move things, Google Göbekli Tepe if you want to check it out, everybody. But this completely predates anything that should have been done. Like I'll show you this picture. It's like a giant in-ground area with massive stonework and all kinds of shit. And the craziest part about Göbekli Tepe is not the sophistication of the stonework, but the fact that they moved in with ground and covered it all up.
Yeah.
So, his argument is, after the 65 million year ago asteroid that made mammals a dominant species, we've had several societies of humans all around the Earth that have gotten to possibly where we are now with technology.
And we're wrecked by something.
And we're completely just shot out with another asteroid.
That ties into Atlantis and all that, too, though, for real. I mean, and I totally believe, I subscribe to that theory that there's civilizations older than what we know of, just simply because something happened. Like, I was watching a documentary last year, and it was just about this, it was mostly about this landslide in Alaska where they had found a shitload of mammoth fossils and all sorts of shit. And mind you, this happened, like, basically somewhere around 250,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And they were digging this shit up, and they found evidence of something cutting the bones. Like someone cutting into the bones with something, right?
Right.
Now, here's the thing. If it happened 250,000 years ago, that predates any known possibility of there being humans on the North American continent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you subscribe to that theory, that means that's over 100,000 years sooner than what we thought had happened.
Yeah.
So there were people here. We know this. At least we believe this. And the scientists were baffled. They were like,
what for?
Yeah, basically, they didn't know what the fuck to think of it. Because this had predated everything that they knew about.
Yeah.
And even then, like, and the thing is like, we know for a fact that, there were cultures and societies that were completely wiped out. Oh, just had a moment. Anyways, yeah. They were completely wiped out by rival, groups, right?
Yeah.
So by that theory, a lot of and when they took out one of these groups, they would basically try to destroy all evidence of their existence. So if you follow that cycle of violence, you could go on to say that a lot of what we think are the first civilizations might have just been civilizations that took out the older ones in themselves.
Right. Like they find all these things, like the Iceman, for instance, who supposedly existed in a time period where we didn't have any metallurgy. And this guy was frozen in some sort of a quick freeze scenario where he was preserved, and they found that he had a copper axe on his belt.
Makes no sense.
Right. The whole history thing is just that. It's his story, and people have found this common thread story that we subscribe to now, that there could possibly be no other way that any of this shit went down. But so many things are coming out now with these finds that, like, who's to say that we haven't, been reset over and over again?
Yeah.
And Graham Hancock's argument was like, look, all these trillions of dollars that we're spending for personal gain in these wars could be better spent on some type of a fucking asteroid fence.
Yeah. Something,
because, I forget the time of year. Basically, there's a time in our solar cycle every year where he said that we go through an asteroid belt that is akin to walking across a busy highway with a blindfold on riding a tricycle.
Jesus.
He's like, we could get smacked by something, and we wouldn't even know it. We wouldn't even know that it was coming, because most of these asteroids, we don't even know they're fucking out there.
Exactly. I mean,
we could be doing this podcast right now, and everything's reset, and the next thing we know, shrews have taken over. Fuck.
But I mean, it baffles me, and it's a big world out there, folks, and you never know. Like, I mean, even in the biblical sense, like, they talked about the flood.
Yeah. Every religion has a flood story.
Every religion has a flood story. And that the fact that civilization had already begun before the flood. But the flood wiped it all out.
Right.
So, if all these religions have a flood story, and they talk about the fact that before the flood, it wasn't like there was nothing. Now, in the biblical sense, they make it seem like there is in fact culture, and there's society, there's cities, there's all sorts of people, there's all sorts of stuff, and it just
wipes
it ceases to exist, and the reset button was hit. So, even if you're not religious, there's evidence out there that other things happened. You know what I mean? So there may have been like groups before us that have been here longer. They might still be here.
That was one of the arguments for like other planet civilizations. And they said, like, what kind of sense would it make? I don't know if anybody's looked into it, but I've gone down the rabbit hole of the dome Earth theory.
Yeah.
And the hollow Earth and all this crazy shit. But it makes sense to me that you would reach a point in your, I don't know, cultural or human or, species evolution where you would realize the safest place is probably inside the planet.
Yeah. Because
then you're not affected by any type of climate change that's solar directed. You're not necessarily going to worry about an asteroid unless it's big enough to completely fuck you. And,
yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to take you down another rabbit hole if you're cool with that.
It could be a short rabbit hole.
It could be. Pause for a quick second.
Oh, fuck. He just showed me the craziest shit I've seen all day. Bar none.
I'd had a problem before of all these fake NASA things, supposedly, where these pictures are put out on NASA's Instagram and other channels where they show this shit, where people are at the ISS, and they did sloppy Photoshop jobs where they had space showing up inside where the spaceship's supposed to be. There's a video on YouTube of an astronaut working outside the ISS, and he's working on it, at whatever incredible speed this thing's supposed to be traveling around the Earth. And all of a sudden an air bubble comes out of the fucking bottom of the ISS like they're filming it under a fucking green screen in a pool somewhere.
Jesus.
So anyway, I'd never found a video of anything leaving or entering low Earth orbit, which blows my fucking mind. You look at every rocket launch video from NASA or anywhere else, and it shows the rocket taking off. Boom! And then it flies over the horizon and disappears. And they're like, they're in space now. They docked at 117,000 miles an hour or whatever the fuck it is. And they docked with the space station, and they're up there playing guitar and jerking each other off and all this other stuff. But anyway, if you go to YouTube and type in rocket proves flat Earth, and I'm not saying we live in a flat Earth by any means because I don't fucking know. And it's probably whatever. I don't know. We don't know what it is.
It's okay not to know.
It's right. I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
But this rocket is the largest rocket project launched by a group of people that were not a government agency. This thing supposedly only flies 73 miles up, and you can watch a video for yourself. It hits a dome, or it hits something, and it just it's in like a float.
Yeah.
And it sounds almost like it's being plunged into water.
Yeah.
They strap 2 GoPro 4s to this rocket. It shows the moon in a position where it shouldn't be, but it's just out of the fucking view of where you can see it in the daytime. And it doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. So go ahead and bite you off a piece of that. Throw rocket launch proves flat Earth into YouTube and get a fucking nosebleed.
Just see what it's all about. Well, folks, I think that's gonna wrap it up for us. We'd like to thank y'all for listening. We're awesome. We're super stoked. We're in our new studio now. I'll put some pictures of it up on Facebook here soon. Like I said, thank you for listening. Hey, topics. We need them. Seriously, we're desperate.
Otherwise, we're just going to wax on poetically about whatever we feel like.
Exactly.
And, I mean, it might be good for us for a while to just go crazy. Because,
we can wax poetically forever.
My sanity is a tinderbox right now.
But, you guys are the navigators of this ship, per se. So, if you want it steered in a certain direction, you got to give us directions, motherfuckers.
Yeah, give us something to go by.
We got one gentle, awesome soul out there that gave us topics today. Keep them up. All right, screw it, I'm going to say it. Thanks, Kate. Thanks for the topics.
We love you.
You're our golden child listener because you actually give us topics to talk about. The rest of you, do better.
Yeah, we're not going to say we're mad, but we are disappointed.
Reach us on Facebook, Twitter. You can even go to our personal Facebooks and talk to us if you want. If you want to keep it private, you just send us a message. If you think your topic might be a little too blue, make sure you include in the said topics that you don't want your name mentioned, so we don't put you on blast. We don't want you to send us to talk about what's the best kind of hemorrhoid cream, and then for us to put you on blast about your painful issues. Don't be wrong, I have hemorrhoids and they're terrible.
But if you want to know what we think, we'll tell you because we've all shot hemorrhoid cream in our ass at one time.
We have. Both of us have. I don't know about you. I know both. I know for a fact both of us have.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys for listening.
Expect more episodes now that we have a static. We're in a position to do it.
We're in a space now where we're in our we're in our safe space.
Yeah, we've constructed a safe space.
I've constructed a safe space for us to do our podcast in.
Skype recording programs can no longer hurt our feelings.
Exactly. So, all right, thank you guys for listening, and we hope to see you next time.
We love you.